Hello, this is Adore from Bricks Maven. Hope you guys are having a very nice day. In this video, we will be building a very interesting block, which is this one. And basically, what we'll be doing here is creating this USB list cards. And on the other side we have our left content with a before pseudo element, which is spanning all the way to the left of the screen. So let's jump right into it, and I will also, after we finish the initial build, I will also look at two other possibilities of building this same layout. And the first one will be using an individual shape, so we'll remove the pseudo element and use an individual shape. And the last one will be us placing the shape on the section instead of the content element. So it's just different ways of achieving the same result. And let's jump right into it. Okay. First things first, we start out with the structure. And like in every video I'll be mentioning, you can always skip this part because I'll be wow, I can't speak today. You can see the timestamps on the video, and you can skip them to the parts that you want to see. Okay, we'll call this just call it content before. I've actually already did this video, but I was not happy with the outcome, so I'm doing it again. Not something I need to mention, but something I just need to say. So we have our content before, then we need, let me check this again. So we're here right now, and we actually need we need the intro section, which I'll add. We need a no, we don't need the intro section, sorry. This is just a section on its own. We will need a container. Okay, that can be we already have a container. We need two blocks. This will be content, and this will be this will be, can call this USB list. And in our USB list we'll have the card. Whoops, making mistakes here. Card. Okay, caps lock is on. What a day. Card. Can speak, can type. What a good day. Heading, we need an icon, and we need just plain text. Let's call this text. Icon, heading, cool. We will be flipping the heading and the icon, not in the structure but visually. We'll do that later. Let me just change this to something different. Something like this. And on the content here we also need our heading, we need our accent heading, and we need our body text. Let me just add accent heading to it, and I'll also proceed to adding the tags directly to the elements. Paragraph. We'll be borrowing this text. Let's go. There we go. How about that? That with the accent heading. Anything else? I think this is it. Before. Okay. Let's jump into the styling. So let's get the list, the card. Let's start with the card. Wait, the text, I forgot to label it. See, icon, heading. Okay, it's all good. On our, by the way, on our heading we want it to be, and this is H3. Okay, we're set. Let's start styling the thing. I will call this content before. Let me just give the container, but I will then start with the cards. Container. Okay, let's go to card. Just add this list. Get content before card. Copy that. I add this to them. Right. Content before card. Apply that, and this will be content before USB. Well, yeah. Basically, we could also come here to content and also use the auto BEM feature. Remove the card, and content before content, heading, text basic. No, this should be accent, and this should be text, accent, heading. So better descriptive label and add. Let's see, we have our content before card, and I think we have all that we need. Okay, so let's jump into the styling of this. So first things first, we look at our section. Our section is good, nothing to do here. Go to our container. Do we need a grid gap? Not necessarily, because it's going to be two sections overlapping each other. What we do need to do is to set this container to display grid, and then on the grid templates columns we add 12. On the 12 grid layout, because we will be literally placing them on the grid. So you go to your content. I could write this with CSS, but I'm just going to do it right here. So we set this, the grid row should be 1, and then we go back to the grid column. So we want this to span from 1 to all the way to 9. And I'll go to the USB list. I want this also to be on the first grid row, and I want this to span from I think I can do, let's try 7 all the way to the -1. So this is how it will overlap, like this. It doesn't look pretty yet, might not say much, but we'll get there. So let's jump back to our content. We need a container gap, content gap. We have a content gap there. On our accent heading, we will need to set this to a -1 order, so that it appears visually on top of the heading. And let's make this smaller. And if you're asking why, it's because once your page is being read by screen readers, you want your heading to be first, so that it to be read first, right? But visually, your accent heading will be on top of it. So that's just the reason why. Okay, let's continue. Text basic. We want to give our content padding, but there should be no padding on the left side. We want padding on the top, bottom, and right. So I'll give it a padding of Excel here, and here we'll need some kind of calculation, because we want our content to start to have a very large space on the right, because it's being overlapped. So what we could do here is say calc, and I then proceed to let me do it differently. Say space XXL, and I do it times 3 and press enter, and this is a good enough space for me, right? This is a good enough space for me. Okay, so let's see now. Let us center the content, and now what I want to do, you know what, I'll center the content on the container. So you want all the items to be centered, so this also to be centered. Okay, cool. Let us go to our USB list, and let's do the following. Do we need a padding around the UL list? No, we don't. Oh, by the way, this should be UL, and this should get a class of list none. I almost forget to add those. I always add it at a later stage. Anyways, it's there. It removes the list none utility class, removes the 40 pixel padding that's on the left when you add an ordered list. It gets added to the browser automatically by the browser, so you need to take that off. Okay, let us continue. Go to the card. We need a padding around our card, so padding S. Let us link it to all sides. Let me increase it to M, a little bit more. And we need a content gap, but I want this content gap to be smaller, so divided by 2. let us flip the icon, put it on top. There we go. Let me just copy some heading text because I also forgot to do that. Short. Okay. Maybe a Z index issue there because I cannot select this text, so I'll have to see. Maybe this was not set to relative. Anyways, we'll get to that. This is one. Let us proceed to give this a background color of ultra shade light. No, neutral light, sorry. If you are not, by the way, if you're not seeing the shade colors, they've been deprecated in the automatic CSS. I enabled them just because I have the first blocks that we built still have these ACSS utility classes, so I have to enable them to see them to be able to change them. I will be changing them, but it will be a longer process before they're all changed. So we're just using the neutral light, and then I will just duplicate this 2 times. Duplicate. Okay, so we have them all here. Let me just number them so I know which card I'm working with. And I'll number this one too. 4, sorry. Okay, so now let me save this. So now I have all my elements set, right? I will, since I'm still busy with the card, I'm going to finish the card and then we'll move to the before a pseudo element. I could start with that, but now I'll just finish up the cards because we're basically almost done. So here, basically, to fix these cards, I'm doing the following, right? Let me see if I can draw some stuff here. Okay, what's this? Okay, okay, let's see here. So I need 2 columns, right? So if I have this, I need 2 columns, and I need 4 rows. So this is how I'm going to do it. We'll do 2 columns, 4 rows, and then have this span 2 rows, and also these will also span 2 rows, and they will be positioned here on the, I think this is, so if you have like a grid with the grid lines things running through your to your browser. So basically, let me show you this way. So if I open up, go back to my screen, open up the console, and here on your console you can click on grid, or where there's flex, you can click on it and you see the grid lines, right? So here you can see it runs from 1 to 2, 3, right? So I will be positioning the second and the third USB card on the second and the third grid lines, so that they'll be positioned here, and the first will just stay on the first where it is. It's only going to be positioned on the grid row line from 2 to 4. So to give you this layout. So let's proceed and do that, right? So by doing that, I'm not going to like write it on the individual cards, because this is supposed to be a this could be a repeater element, right? Or you could statically do it this way. But the thing is, because they're classes, if I was to say now set to flex, wait, if I set this to grid and then come here, you see we have our grid controls here, and any change I make here, it will be reflected in the other cards because they're linked with classes. Or else I'll have to do it through the ID, but I'm not styling at ID level. We're not doing that here, right? Okay, so let us write some CSS. So let's go to CSS, say root. We want to target the end, say this will be the child and this will be the first. So let me just copy this 3 times. So this would be number 2. I think 2 and 3, actually 2 and 3 are the same, so we need to create extra lines of code. This would be 3. Basically we'll say grid, I'll start off with this one, grid column. Grid column is, like I said, 2 through 3, right? Boom. And yeah, let me just copy this. Oh, and as for the grid row, we want it to span 2. That's what we want. And as for this, the first card, we want it to run from, want to be positioned on the second line and to run to the fourth line. So as you can see there, this is the layout that we want. So this is basically it, right? But here on our grid, if not, let me specify the amount of columns. I want 2 columns, and in the rows I want 4, like I said. And we should add a grid gap for the spacing, as you can see. If you find that the spacing is too much, you can divide it by 2, by 4, whatever you like. So we have our spacing now, and this is what we have here. Oh, by the way, let me copy this text and then put it here. Boom, boom. Okay, let me switch up these icons just to make it look a little bit different. Okay, so we have our icons in. Let's save. So one of the things that happened in the last version, when I did this video, I forgot to save. I was done, refreshed the page, I lost almost everything I was doing. So yeah, I don't know what happened. I usually always save. It's like normal to save, but whatever happened happened. Okay, so now we're moving over to the, oh wait, let me you know what, we'll do I wanted to do the responsive styling, but we'll do it later. Once we have done with it before, then we'll do everything at once. So the content, we want to add a pseudo element that spans to the all the way to the left. Okay, so now why would I not just give this a background image, right? Because I can look, if I can just come here and say, wait, let's do it this way, colors. I can do something like this, right? Well, what did I do? Why? Oh, wow. Did you see what I did? The class, how come the class is not content? Is it because I used the, oh, I've been styling the, oh, sorry guys. I've been styling, this is the section class. So wait, let me just remove this and redo this. Let me copy this and remove the grid column, all the stuff I did. Wow, I need to, let me just add this again. So this is content before content, the content, so we don't need this. Let me check if everything is good. Okay, nothing styled. Okay, let's do this again. This runs from 1 to 9. This is 1, and this is the padding. Let's fix this. Let me paste what I copied. Just moving through this very quickly, and I give this a content gap, and yeah, we're back at where we were before. Okay, like I was saying, if you add a background, to your content, it's only going to stay within this context. And you can say, yes, you can still, I can extend it to the left. Yes, I could do that. But the issue is, I would also be extending the content, and I'll move it outside of the container boundaries. And that's not what we want. We want our, look here, we want our text to stay within the content width, right? The container. If I pushed the whole container of the content to the left, our text would end up being here. That's not what we want. So we do not want our background to be on the content element. We want it to be on the pseudo element that we're creating. So come here, say root, create our pseudo element before, and then we start adding content. Say empty position, wow, position absolute. Let me set this to position relative so that it will, so that our the pseudo element to stay within the confines of the it will be related to the content element. That's what we want. We don't want it, because if I do not do that, it will most likely fly to the section, right? It will fly to the parent. That's the top dog, right? We want it to stay within the confines of the content element. So we need to set that to relative. So position absolute. Okay, we can't see it yet, but we will soon see it. I want it to be stuck to the top, I want it to be stuck to the right, and I want it to be stuck to the bottom. And as for its height, I want it to be 100%. I want it to fill the whole content section. And as for the width, I also fill this in. We have to do some kind of complex calculation to get the specific width correct. And I'm not missing anything, and I'll set this to a Z index of -1 because I want it to come behind the content. Okay, so now as for the width, we could say, if you don't want to make this a hard time on yourself, you just give it 100 viewport width and you're done. You can give it 100 viewport width, which will just stretch it all of the screen. You will most likely get a overflow. Let me I forgot to give the color, so background, we should give it like a gradient, so linear gradient, then our neutral, let me see, what could we do here? Say neutral light, var neutral ultra light, background linear gradient, var neutral light. Made a typo here. Neutral. Okay, see there we have our gradient. As of now, let me save this and let me open this up. You see? Okay, it's being stretched all out of the page, right? Look, let me see if I can zoom out. So straight stretch all the way there. So this is basically okay, but there's a way to get the specific measurement, right? You want the specific measurement. And let me also add because I saw just now, I'm not seeing any overflow. It might be due to because it's a pseudo element, but I'm just adding it. I'll always add a overflow hidden just in case. So overflow hidden. So if there's any overflow that may occur, it would always be hidden. So let us go back to our where was I? CSS here. Okay. So here in our before element, so we want to create a specific width, right? So that it has to be starting from the middle and stretching all the way to the screen. Oh no, it's not starting away from the middle, because our we have a 12 column grid, right? Where the content element is spanning 9 columns, right? So from the middle, it's adding another 3 columns that is being spread. So what we want to do, right, is have the measurement we want is what is the width from the left side of the screen till the middle plus 3 columns. So we need that kind of calculation to make sure that our measurement is precise, right? Okay. So the way we do that is the following. We need calc, right? So we say calc, and so we want the 50 viewport width. So I need a 50 viewport width plus 3 columns. Then that's the specific width, right? So I say plus, plus. I don't know what plus is anymore. Plus. We need to do a calculation. So now we know that you need to get the width of your content width, because the container is spanning 12 columns. So it's the 12 columns width is the same as my container width. So in bricks, if you don't know what your container width, you can find it here in your theme styles container. Is this 1280 pixels, right? But automatic CSS has a variable for the container that is content width. So we can use that content width and we can divide it by 12. And if when we divide it by 12, we know what the width of one column. We know how long one column is. So it allows me to calculate how much 9 columns is, right? And to get this calculation right, I just need to add 50 viewport width, right? So let me see if I can make this visible for you guys. So let's say I have to do this real fast because somehow the pen always disappears. The things I scribble disappears. Okay, so let's say this is the middle of the screen, right? So this part is 3 columns, right? And this part, the middle, is the 50 viewport width. So we need to do the 50 viewport width plus the 3 columns. So I only need to know how long 3 columns is, right? So how long is 3 columns? This is all I need to know. Okay, so let's get back to what we're doing. So here on the calculation, so I need to know 3. I need to do 3 times, and then another calculation which says var is the content width. I could also use 1280 pixels, right? But I'm using the var content width divided by 12. Let me see, var content width divided by 12. Did I add an extra? Sometimes this always, let me see. Okay, I have a 1 here. This always goes wrong. Sometimes I add 1 too many or 1 too less. This and this. I think I should remove this one. Or no, it's a mistake. Wait. Oh, wait, I see where the mistake is. I forgot to add the dash. So now this is the precise, it's no more 100 viewport width, but it's basically the 500 viewport width plus the 3 columns. So this is the specific width I needed, right? Let me see if I can somehow, I don't think I can see how long it is, right? Anyways, that is how you actually get the specific width for that calculation. Am I on 100%? Let me see, it's also 100%. Okay, so that's basically how you get that width. And you can see this is a bit higher, the width here, but that's because this is let me see, I think the grid was stretched because I centered it. So if I stretch it, that's what you get. And basically I will have to center the content. Yeah, so this is good. So that's why this was looking at it. If you saw the original, this is a bit higher, but that's because I centered the grid items and now I'm stretching them. So let's stretch them. That's the the correct thing. Okay, so now we have the specific width. We have our list going on. So now let's look at the different breakpoints. So tablet, this is somewhat acceptable, but it's also kind of squishy. So I could already decide on this breakpoint to say, hey, I want this to go back to 1 column, right? But we would also need to be making changes to the before pseudo element, and also to the maybe probably only on I think the mobile landscape. No, portrait, we might make changes to this. So we'll stack the cards then. And there was also another mistake right here. You could see I can't select this stack, so we need to move the ESP list. We need to make sure that it comes on top of the content element. So let's set this to position relative. Let me save. Let's see what that does. Now we can select it, right? Cool. Okay, that is fixed. And I would also like to do the following to make sure that the before element is only set to a min width media query. So that means that once it reaches, I think once it reaches the, once it reaches the tablet portrait, it will disappear. So that's what I only wanted to. I only wanted this to be on desktop. You could also make it disappear on mobile landscape, whatever you like, right? So let's add media, and then min width. Sorry, width. That's 991 pixel. Am I right? 991 pixel. Opening that up. Close it right here. Whoops. Close it right there. Remove this thing. And now once we hit this, it's gone. So this is what we want. I only want it to show here, and here it should be gone. And once we hit this breakpoint, I want the grid to stack. So I'll set it to 1 column, right? And then I also have to make changes here by setting this to 1, and the grid row should be also 1, and the USB list, this should be 1, 2, also 1 column, sorry, and the grid row should be 2. Or I should just set this to onset, and then to also go back to how it normally is supposed to flow. So, and then I would have to remove the padding that's on that's here. So I'll also set this, I'll also unset this. So now this is flowing over the full width. I will also add on the grid, I'll add a grid gap, because I want there to be some spacing. And I'll give the section a background color of neutral ultra light. So we have a background, so it will seem as if the before element spanned over the whole background. I could have also taken the same before element and spanned it over the whole section. Was also possible. Would have been also easier. I could have kept on using it, but I'm doing it this way. So this is this is not something that you have to do it this way. You could have also used the before element to do it, right? Okay, so now we'll go down. This is looking good. But once we come to mobile, it's squishy. Or I could have done it here, because sometimes once the space between 767 pixel and 478 pixels is quite a lot. So maybe around 520, it's already looking squishy. So you could also say here, once you reach the mobile landscape portrait, this should flip to 1 column, right? And let's see, it's 1 column, and here we also have to remove all the styling on it. So how do we do that? I could also do a min. Let's do a min with a media query too, to make sure that all the styles only apply to the desktop, tablet, mobile, no, on desktop and tablet. So once it hits the mobile landscape, it will stack and to have its original flow back. So let's do that. So I go to CSS and say same thing we just did, media, min width, typo, 767 pixel, and we close this off, and let's see now. So it will display as it is on desktop. On tablet it will also display, but once we reach the mobile landscape, it will go back to its original shape, and then it just goes down to mobile and everybody's happy, right? So this is what we want. This is what we want to see. We might say we might want to do one more thing. I think here is to, on the USB list, is to unset the grid template rows so that it only shows it doesn't show 4 rows, sorry. I'm seeing an overflow and I'm wondering, is this a bricks thing? I think it's bricks. Okay, so now we have gone through the whole process and our block is actually done. Let's check this responsive, how this looks like. We go So once we hit 9, I think 991, it goes boom, and it just goes down. So yeah, so we're basically this is the first part. We're done. If you're not interested in the other parts, this is where you can close the video. I'm going to show you 2 other ways of doing this, and that will, like I said before, we're doing an individual shape version and also a version where we put the before element on the section. So I'll just do the section one because it's similar to the content version. So I'll duplicate this. I'll say content before on shape, sorry, on section. I will proceed to duplicate this class, or I'll create a modifier. So content before, I'll call this alt as an alternative. So we have basically, it is set to hidden. I'll just copy this class over. So we have our before and just paste it here, and I'll remove this. I will also proceed to create a modifier for the before content. So content before content is also an alternative, and I will also proceed to take all the styling, and then here I can remove whatever I want. This one can go, and now I can remove all the padding. No, what am I doing? I still need the padding from the left. I could adjust this padding, but relative is actually not needed anymore. You see, once you move the relative, it just jumps, just does its own thing. The before, the pseudo element just jumps away. So I was not needing it anyway. So let me copy this code. We'll just paste it on the section here. So click the class, go to CSS, put it right here. So we have it. We set our layout to relative, so it stays within the boundaries. As you can see, it's growing to the left, to the right, sorry. It's going to the other way. So the way to fix that is the left to right to left. So once it's to left, it flips the other way around. And then our width is no more longer correct, right? And we cannot do that specific calculation anymore. We can only like say, okay, we make sure that it grows from the middle or something, or you can dial that in the way you want it. So we could say something like 62, right? So that it looks the same as the top one, right? So you have the ability to dial that in. You could also create a locally scoped variable to easily change that. So you don't need to always be changing this setting, but it's not necessary here. So basically, we have our before element, but there's one more thing that we need to do, because we want our before element to not touch the edges of the section. Look, the first one is contained within the content element, right? And now it's stretching all the way to the sides of the section. So the way that we can do this to make sure that it only, so let me make it visually for those that don't quite understand what I'm trying to say here. So what we want, oops, can't I scroll? Wow, once I'm using this. So what we basically want is, wait, let me scroll up and do it. So we want this. We want our content to stay within these boundaries. Sorry, the pseudo element, the before pseudo element to stay here. Here, right, it's moving all the way to the edges, like this, right? Okay, so we need to do a calculation to extract the, we need to remove the extra padding here that's on the section, and we need to extract it from the height. So the height is set to 100%. So basically what we do is a calc function. So we say, let me see if it even works like this. So I want 100%, right? And I want it minus the section space, if I'm correct, because you have section padding and section space. Section padding I think is for left and right. Section space is top and bottom. If I'm correct. So section space M, and if I'm correct, I'll just have to check the code to see what's the specific. Man, made a mistake. It's the wrong button. 100% minus section space M times 2. Boom. Sorry, it doesn't work. Let me see, because of this, the calc function didn't really do its job here. So we need to do it like this. So we have a var and this. So we have a var section times, yes. Okay, so now it has extracted the bottom section space and the top section space. But now it's still at the top, right? Because we have our position set to the top. So what we need to do now is the following. We need to set the top to 50%. It goes all the way down. You're like, oh, what's going on? And then we need to set the transform. Let me see, transform. I did that right, uppercase. Transform. Wow. Form. Translate the I-axis. We want this to be minus 50%, and now it's centered, and that's exactly what we want. So this is done, and let me see if I'm correct. It should also be gone on. Yeah, this is good, and it's all good. So this is a second way of doing it. So the first one we did it, we set the pseudo element on the content, now we set it on the section. So this is a second way of doing it, and the last version will be, I have to duplicate this, let me see, it will be an individual shape. Let me see. With individual shape, I mean it will just be a block element, right? That I'm giving a background color and positioning on the correct spot. So let me just copy this, put this in the middle. So this is the content before as independent shape. Yeah, as independent shape. Cool. Okay, on our, let's see, this is the last block. Okay, now we need to create another. Do I need to do anything with, it's just an individual shape. Do I need to do anything here? I would also create a modifier, but before just call it beta. I don't know, just give it a word. And then on the, this was on the content, right? We need to give the content also a different name. So content before content beta. Okay, and I will copy the classes over. Let me close this. I will also, oh no, did I just, oh, I just removed it. Wow. Or not. Oh, there it is. I'll also copy the classes here and remove this, and I will need to set this to relative because I need it for the individual shape. So this set to relative. I will then proceed to remove. I do not need the class anymore, so we don't need we don't need this at all. This can just go away. Oh no, you know what, let's keep it because I might need this. I just want the color, I think. So let me just copy this and just take this all away. Okay, so now we have our shape and everything, but look, I can, outside of the container, I can just add the shape. So I'll just add a block and I'll call this background shape, and we'll give this a class of content before background shape. Okay, first things first, we will give it a ultralight background, and you can see it sits here, and then we'll give it a layout of absolute. So now it has moved all the way up, and now we're just going to stretch it to all the sides. So top 0, right 0, bottom 0, left 0. So now it's covering everything. Z index of -1. So it comes behind. There might be a situation where you, let's say you want to add a, because we're going to make sure that the width is only going to be just of the whole page, right? So now that I've set the Z index to -1, it might be the following situation. I'll show you guys. It's better to show you than you will see. So let's say our width is, I set it to 62 viewport width. Yeah, so 62 viewport width. And let's say that you still want to give your section a background, right? So let's give our section a background of ultra, let's do the ultra light. Ultra dark. So once we do this, it totally overlaps your before element, right? And you say, okay, I would like to remove this, right? But then it covers your content, and then you'd be like, okay, maybe on the content, to go to your content, and you'd be like 2. So now you're playing a Z index game where you're just moving content higher than each other, which is not a bad practice. You can do it this way. Or what you can do in this situation is, once you've set this to -1, is to go to your section and go to layout, go to isolation, and set it to isolate. Now what this does is it prevents from any element from escaping the parent container. So normally if you have a before element, normally when you set the before element, it let's say your parent element has a background, right? And you set your a pseudo element, it comes behind the parent container, right? So now that I've set it to -1, it will normally go behind. No, let me say it this way. Because you want your pseudo element to be behind your content, right? You set it to -1. But if you add a background color or anything to your section, it will overlap that pseudo element. So once you set it to isolate says the pseudo element can't escape its container, so it will be contained within the parent element. That's why this is happening. So if I remove this, it will go behind the parent container. But by isolating it, in the word isolate, I'm not allowing it to escape, so you're still seeing it. Very good CSS feature, something that is good to know. Okay, so now I'll remove the background because you do not need that, but at least it's set good now, right? I don't need to set my content to set index 2, this to 99 or 99,000, whatever. So this is set perfectly. Do we have like a, it seems like this has like some kind of border, the shape, but I never gave it a border. Let me save it seems like that. Oh guys, look at the, because of the viewport width, that was not, let me see here in the console what's the perfect viewport width to make it align. And that's one of the downsides of doing it this way. It shifts with your with the size of your screen. Whereas for me, I found out that the content pseudo, using the pseudo element, the before element on the content is the best because it stays within the width of your content, right? So let me see, let me move my head. We have our section here and go to our before. So if I just bring this down, let's say around 58, right? So our shape should be 58. 58 we brought with 58. Wow, 58. There we go. And here we need to do the same calculation. Oh wait, there's no border here, right? And it must be bricks. Let me save. I think it's bricks. And here we need to do the same calculation magic on the height. As you can see, we need to, I'm just going to copy it because I'm not going to retype that because it's just the same. So we need this. Copy this, go to your shape, go to layout, go to height, you just put that bad boy in, and then you just, all you need to do is set this to 50%, and then go to your transform and also do the change there. So set this to minus 50% and we have the same effect. And yeah, the only thing here is that I have to set this to layout, sorry, to display none. No, it's gone. And we basically have the same effect, same result. Okay, so this was basically how to add a before pseudo element to your content by, giving it a specific width. And a width that stretches to the edge of the screen. I went through I did a lot of CSS, I would say tricks or whatever you would like to call them, but I implemented a lot of stuff that really can really improve your CSS skills. So I hope this video was very valuable to you. By learning these things, I really learned a lot of understanding the layout better and how it works and stuff. Especially the isolate thing was very cool to learn. I hope you guys found out cool too. And I just basically showed you guys how to apply the same. This is a way of doing this effect, and showed you different ways of like just putting it on the section and still achieving the same result. So I hope you guys like this video. This specific block will appear in the library soon. It's actually it's content 35, so this will appear pretty soon, and you guys can get your hands on it. For those that do not know what it's for, you can go to the website, that's bricksmaven.com, and we create actually they are now wireframe blocks, because before they had all colors and stuff, but they are wireframe blocks that easily allow you to create or build your website quickly in Bricks Builder, and to truly speeds up your development process, because you saw how long it took for me to build this block. If you, or this section, sorry, if you had a similar section in your design, you could just basically drag and drop this, and that would have saved you like 20 minutes, right? And think about if there were other blocks on your same page that you could just drag and drop. It's responsive, they're tagged correctly, they're built in a way that is HTML5 compliant. We look at also accessibility, and yeah, it's just a way of speeding up your work process. So I hope you guys like this video. Tell me in the comments, did I miss anything, and anything that I should have added. If you have any questions, let me know. Share, like, subscribe. Thank you for your time, and have a very nice day.